Hey everybody, we are back, and this time around we are going to try something a little different than our usual take apart and put back together. One of the recent gaming PCs we took apart had this pretty cool Ultra X4 750 watt power supply in it. Unfortunately, it wasn't working, so we're going to take it apart, which should be fairly straightforward, and we'll use our trusty little cheap multimeter here and see if we can diagnose what's going on with this thing. And I've got a cap set, so if it needs some caps, we'll replace them. And if not, we'll hopefully at least figure out what is wrong and maybe get a map towards repair. All right, so first things first, we'll kind of just get a quick look over things. Just trying to see if there's any obvious issues. We've got what looks to be a little bit of maybe corrosion buildup on the back plate here. So that may be culprit number one. We can probably get that largely cleaned up. I don't see any obvious bulging caps, so that's actually a good sign. And our big guy here, which I would not have a replacement for, appears to be in good shape. So it really doesn't leave a whole lot else that may have failed. Looking to see the mini caps around the heatsink here. They all look okay too. I don't see anything burst, which is good. Usually if they burst, they kind of leave some scatter damage, and that can be kind of irritating to try and clean up. There's quite a bit of hair and like dust built up on some of these contacts, so I'm sort of wondering if maybe that might be part of our problem, which is also a very easy fix. And then on the back here, we got like a little, can't tell if this is a relay. Of course, with the fan, it's kind of hard to tell anything because this is plugged into the board and kind of gooped into place. So I think we're going to start with just a basic cleanup on this. Try and get some of the corrosion off the back here, because that honestly might be all that's holding this up. Because a couple of the main contacts are corroded. If that's the case and it's just a matter of cleaning up the traces, this could be a very, very easy fix. And then, of course, if we get into more troubleshooting inside, that's where we might run into kind of some more issues. And, of course, we might have to do a little further teardown. Now, that's not to say that this is going to be easy overall, but if it's something straightforward, it'd be really great to save the 750 watt power supply, because these aren't exactly cheap. Alright, so we've blown out a lot of the dust and wiped down the traces with some alcohol. Cleaned out quite a bit of it. And one thing I've noticed is with the rubbing alcohol, it kind of leaves a little funky residue behind. I'm not sure if that was just the dust on the toothbrush, or if it, I don't know, etched it a little bit. Doesn't really matter, because at this point I'm not confident this is going to be revived, but we can always clean that up later if need be. It does come off pretty easy. But as far as I can tell, all of the corrosion that was on here is pretty well lifted. So I think at this point I want to test some continuity and just see, are we getting any voltage anywhere, or if this is just like dead on the board. So let's get the multimeter. Well, as I was touching around the board with my multimeter here just to test it out, make sure the multimeter was working, I noticed that we have this nice giant glob of solder here, and it is touching one of the traces for the power. It's literally overlapped, and there does not seem to be a break between it and the screw base. I think that's where our issue is. Just by looking at it, I mean, there's tons of solder on this, but if we look at the opposite side here, there's a pretty nice clear break between the base pad of this screw and the rest of this power supply. So just eyeballing it, that appears to be our problem. And I don't see anywhere else on this PCB that has this same issue. But yeah, if you look at this right here, I'll try and get the camera to focus. The break, which should be there, actually looks like it's become like a channel of solder. So I think if we take the solder, out of this little channel here and create a nice clean break, I think we might be able to just plug this in and fire it up, as far as I can tell. So that'll be step number 2. Alright, so now that we've figured out that what it appears to be is a bum trace, we've got the soldering iron heating up here, or at least it should be here relatively soon. And we're going to go ahead and use a little bit of solder wick to eliminate that spillover on the board. I'll try and get a little bit better angle to see, what we're talking about. But hopefully, the intention is we'll take the solder wick here and this trace down here, which is rubbing right up against this screw. Just going to lay the solder wick on it and try and soak up just that little bit of solder spillover, and I honestly think that that's what's causing the issue here. So my hope, of course, is that that's all it takes to get this power supply repaired and back up to snuff. It makes me wonder, though, if that really is the issue, why all of a sudden did that happen? Like, did this get too hot, or this capacitor get hot and liquefy a pool of solder there, or did it just work for a while and then, finally crap out? I don't know. I wish I could have seen this in its working day, but I mean, it's a pretty nice power supply, all things considered, with its modular setup. So hopefully that'll answer some questions. I think the easiest way to test it is just going to be to plug it into some power and see if it kicks the fan on. If it does, I'd say we have probably a reasonable guess that the power supply itself is working, and then we can throw it in the case where it was and hopefully get it to go. So again, just going to wick this up here. I'll try and get a little bit better angle here. Now I'm trying to use this stand because I know some of the shaky cam has been a bit of a pet peeve in the past, and I respect that. I get that. Unfortunately, working around the camera is kind of annoying, so you'll have to forgive me as I get used to this, of course. So it's wicking up the solder pretty good. I don't know how much or how long I'm going to have to do this, though, and I don't want to wick up too much in case there's purpose for this splotch of solder here. I really don't know what it would be, and I see I'm like well out of focus, but I'm trying to do two things at once. Unfortunately, I don't have a camera person. I am solo Urza Master, but I appreciate you guys sticking with me and giving me the pointers here. If you've got any tips on how to desolder this any better, I am all ears, of course. I mean, it's coming up pretty nice. Honestly, I'm hoping that as this liquefies a little bit, we'll see a little bit more progress, but let's just see if we can get a better look at it there. Definitely seeing a little bit more definition in a brake line. So I'm hoping that as this continues to wick, we'll see a little bit more of that come up and be a little cleaner break between the screw there and this puddle. Honestly, like a puddle of solder, which again, I don't know why at any point that was a thing. And again, I apologize for the focus on this. I'm trying to do multiple things at once. And hopefully we just want to create a nice clean break. Now, I've seen people use solder braid. I personally have never had any. This is my first time. I ordered this for the channel, so I'm hoping that this kind of gives me a little bit of an insight as to how well this works for these purposes of desoldering. Alright, so I think I've located 16 and 17 pin here on the base unit. I've broken that solder line as best I can. I'm hoping when I plug this in, this doesn't spark and start a fire. So pray for me. But we're going to unplug this thing in and see if we can get the fan to kick on, just to see if that has done anything. You know, worst case scenario here, you know, nothing happens at all. Second worst case scenario is this thing sparks and, you know, I have to quickly shut off my power strip. So I'm going to have a toe on the power strip shut off, so that way if we do get some nasty sparks flying, we'll just shut her down. But I really don't think that'll happen. Just in case, want to be as safe as possible. We're going to go ahead and plug this in, see what we can do. Alright, here we go. So we're going to start with the power off on the power strip. Just in case for some reason this grounds funny to the case. I don't want to give myself some kind of potent electrical shock here. Alright. Turn the case on so I don't have to touch it. Power should be going to it now. Nothing. So, well, we didn't shock anything, so that's good. But also, no fan action. So at this point, I think we're going to have to do a little more diagnosis. We'll have to do a little bit of a part 2. It's getting a little late, but I'm going to try and clean up that solder video here, and hopefully this is not a 45-minute nothing video for you guys. Alright, so when I took the case back off, I spun it a little bit, and I think I've actually found our issue, which is a happy thought. And it's this little resistor right here beneath the heatsink. You can see it's got a burn mark on the side, which tells me that that probably overvolted and scorched. The good news is I don't see anything else in there that looks scorched, which means that in all likelihood when we replace that resistor, I think the rest of this should function properly. The trick will be getting to it, and then of course getting a resistor. Unfortunately I don't have any resistors. I have caps but no resistors, so probably have to get a resistor kit to repair this. But good news, learned a lot about the solder wick tonight, and you know, cleaned up this solder pad, which I still think this shouldn't be the way it is, but I don't think it's going to hurt anything for now, especially if we know that resistor is bad. So if you enjoyed this video, kudos to you. If you didn't, let me know in the comments. If you're not already a subscriber, please do hit subscribe. I'd love to make more interesting videos in the future that you might enjoy. If you didn't like this one, and certainly if you did, I definitely will have more stuff coming down the pipe that you're going to like. Thanks again. I'm Urza Master. Have a great day.